we are back for more online time trial road to 30,000 VR. And this would look a little bit different to you, I think. So this episode was recorded offline, not on stream, with my dearest friend, Mr. TWD98. And I goofed. So in my recording, unfortunately, I didn't have my microphone and my game audio split on different tracks. And so my game audio is drowning out my commentary. And so we both can't really use it, unfortunately, but still it's a part of the series here. And so I constructed the best races from the session for us together for the series. This gets really good. And this first race is amazing, actually. So we are on, I believe this is the tour version of Snowland. It's one of my personal favorites, actually. And me and Troy are very close on this. So I think I go about some of the turns a little bit wrong. I've done some light time trial of this, nothing too intensive yet. But this race was amazing here. And as you're going to see, I keep Troy's POV on the screen as well, just so we both get our screen time as well. So you get more context for the collab here. But as you can see, he won the first race in the 1v1. I am Wash and Troy is the king. So Troy's going to take over the series now. See you guys later. Just kidding. But in any event, that was still a new series best for me and a competitor's best as well. We are here now to GBA Rainbow Road. And both of us are pretty good here. Troy definitely knows more of the cuts than I do. He showed me some of the more broken ones here recently. I have not practiced them yet. So you'll see Troy, as he just did there, one of the major cuts there as well. At least in recent episodes, maybe you guys would remember, there are some very cracked players on this track that get really good times. And I think in the ending card we're going to see, I think the Retro Rewind world record for this track is almost a 129 or something crazy like that. So clearly I have a lot more to learn. Mr. Troy unfortunately has his fail there. That beginning cut can be done shroomless from what I understand. It's high risk, high reward for playing this track for all the strategies, as we'll come to see, right? But this is very high on the list for me to try and practice for future events here. But consider this as more of like a mini Q&A podcast style for this episode as well. I see you guys have been liking the NMeade notes, new addition to these episodes, the past couple as well. I like making them. I think giving more context to the viewer, especially those that are not as experienced, or even then for some of these retro tracks that people don't have some context for as well. But also it goes inside my mind as I'm actively racing and what I'm going for, different things like that. So I enjoy making them, but at least you'll have some verbal explanation today in this episode as well. Because again, I goofed, unfortunately, the audio tracks were not split. Again, apologies here, but at least we're taking advantage of the footage that we have here today. But got second place here. And as we're gonna see, this is almost 40 minutes, I think, for the video. However, this session was like almost an hour and 35 minutes or so and change. Obviously cutting out the in-between and stuff, it probably would have been closer to like an hour 10 or so. So I removed the uninteresting races just to kind of focus on the more of the heavy hitters for this session, if you will. But yes, we're on now to BC. All the strats are commencing. And so I am not going to do any spoilers for any tracks and how they go. I remember the majority of them when I kind of put the footage together. But yeah, so BC, I go for all the strats. And again, this is Road to 30,000 VR. So it's online racing, obviously in the game mode. But from what you guys maybe are used to of my first series of Road to Master and Online Time Trial Lounge, that is a 12 race event for Lounge. And so the stakes are higher, and typically the strategies you're choosing to go for are going to be a little bit different. So the fact that this is online racing for VR, it lends itself where you can go for a lot more crazy stuff. And this is one track I left to go for basically everything that I know. It's entertaining, it's a lot more fun for me as well. But still, I try not to go overboard on that for almost all the tracks, just because if I were to fail everything, that would be boring and bad, but also getting away from my goal, right? But I think for the laps and everything, I think it's worthwhile for the viewing experience. So, you know, I still want to get my 220 here. I'll be trying some more attempts at that probably in the coming weeks before the release of Mario Kart World. But as we're going to see, I'm still in first here on lap 3. My first 2 laps weren't all that great. I did have a trick boost into lap 3, like a partial trick boost. For the uninformed, the lap is triggered near the back end of the checkpoint, the checker line, the finish line. English is hard. Anyway, and so my full trick boost wasn't into lap 3. As you're going to see, I raced lap 3 pretty darn well for the circumstance. And so that was sloppy at the end. I lost some time there, but I got my first 222 for the series. Let's go. And Mr. Troy, I believe he tried doing the cut on lap 3. And from what we've seen before as well, the cut is legal, but most people, including myself, we opt to not go for it. As you saw as well, lap 3 was almost a 46 lap 3. You know, not too shabby, you know. Still half trick boost in there, but anyway. On now to, this is Broken Pier, I believe. And this track throws me for a loop for sure. This is definitely one track I have to time trial. I basically freestyle it for the most part. I will say the ending itself, it trips me up the most as far as how to do it optimally. You can easily spin drift like I did back there for both zippers, but it seems like that's slower because most people only go for one. And when I've compared myself racing in these events, I almost break even. So eventually I decided just to only go for the one left hand zipper as well. But the following brown ramp at the end, like one of those ramps in the whole section, I bleed out so much time. I feel like the beginning half of this, I got down decently well, but again, I haven't formally watched a very fast time on this track. At least if I have, it's been quite a while for me. So I tried doing like a little chain drift there. That actually worked out pretty well. It was pretty fast. I chose to drift off the brown ramp there and hold the drift out and cut the last turn tight with the zipper boost. Because basically, if I had to trick on that ramp, I'm going to be having higher air time. And if I'm landing right on the zipper as well, just the landing in the whole boost there might make my turn go wider and lose time. So a lot of different factors, but that's kind of how I choose how I play this track. So as you're going to see, this ending is going to be very close. So I actually, a lot of these races between me and Troy get to be pretty close, which is really great. It's just unfortunate that, again, I goofed on my recording, so we can't hear the commentary all that well, but we were popping off at the end here too. Look at his POV, hop through the fence there as well. That is an intended feature as well. Just because they made the fences you can clip in behind them. So I believe that's for all the fences throughout the entire track, as far as I'm aware, so that's pretty cool. But that ending was so close between us. Broke 15k. Let's go. We're steadily climbing the leaderboard here. Now GC and Sherbet Land. So sorry, I keep on pausing my video player. Sorry about that. It was always my impression that Toadette would be the faster combination here. Spoiler alert, I'm wrong by a lot. So I told Troy that this is the fastest combo, and so we both would go Toadette Magic Cruiser, and we just get completely just steamrolled by the Funky Flames here. But still, the actual race between me and Troy, though, in particular, is actually quite close. So I tried to choose the races that, you know, obviously I did well for myself for the series, but also our races between themselves were actually quite close. Also, the Shy Guys, total sleepers, man, seriously. Like, he was booking it, rounding the corner like that. I had not expected taking the Shy Guy in any dimension with how that was. But of course, I lost a lot of time there. But at least we have actually recorded some of the few upcoming events about a week ago now on stream. And this comes up again, so I raced out a bit better. But yeah, I think at this point, let me think. I want to say there's maybe 160 to 170 courses in Retro Rewind. So I've practiced, watched, and gotten fairly proficient at maybe half of them, I want to say. There are still a few of them that come up that I have never actually attempted before as of yet, but I say the majority of what people actually choose, I know now, which is great. And look at this, it's very close between me and Troy. He beats me by a 0.5 there. I still get 6th place, not too bad. Basically, on a track that I'm not as experienced on, I'm typically going for at least mid-range, and 6th place is perfectly fine. As long as I'm gaining VR, I really don't care, you know? But moving on now, we have Yoshi Valley, and my god, this is such a beautiful track for this game mode. I almost feel like this is Retro Rewind's equivalent of a Toad's Factory, because anytime this is chosen, everyone is really good at this track. So I have done at least intermittent practicing on this track. I feel like I could get a really good time here in Time Trial specifically, maybe at least a top 10 time. This track is a lot of fun. I will say though, that slip drift we get at the end there, it doesn't always go that way. And so if you actually get a hop out and you don't get a slip drift out, you have to react pretty quickly. One thing I will say is, you know, you go for things that you practice for when playing in this game mode, but you had to adapt to sudden abrupt things that happen, which I think is one of the hallmarks of this game mode. It tests raw consistency, but also backup strats and knowing how to handle the pressure. So, you know, some people, they may not like all the ghosts on the screen. At least now, thankfully, you can disable the names, which is a really huge plus. But, you know, if there was an option to disable ghosts, sure. But I feel like for the true experience, seeing all the ghosts there is really cool and adds to the suspense and the pressure. So imagine me streaming this and doing online lounge as well on top of that. So, of course, it's scrambled eggs for me, unfortunately, here. My god. I was perfectly pace locked there. And I was racing a pretty good race, if I'm honest there. And I feel like that would have been easily a series best for me as well. But we'll try it next time, of course. Also, I always include it at the very beginning of all my videos to check the description for frequently asked questions. But again, I'll verbalize too. People may ask why I track the competitors best. And it's just a cool metric because someone may be new to the channel and they encounter episode 15 or 25 or whatever. And so they won't know the competition's best throughout the entire time. So I think it's just a nice benchmark to compare myself for my own goals for the series compared to the rest of the competition that I have. But alas, here we are, GB2. This one is always quite paralyzing and treacherous. One false step and you're just completely cooked. You're hitting the wall, you're raging, and you fall off, and maybe you get last, you know? But I will say that the Shroom is just so scary. Like, I'll generally play it maybe like 80%, you know? If I ever go 90% or above on the Shroom, for me specifically, for what I can do, I'm trying to catch up primarily, just because if you Shroom too early, you don't go far enough and you can't complete the turn after. If you Shroom too late, you're going so far wide. And just very small things can go wrong on the GB2 Shroom. So I play it a nice, safe, conservative way to not completely throw my race away. Now, almost opposite here on Raceway. One of my favorite tracks, Raceway King, is here. And man, this will always be one of my favorite Mario Kart tracks of all time. And it's just quite astonishing. Like, I cannot play this track for a very long time, but it's almost like, no pun intended, but riding a bike. Like, it fits like a glove. I'm right back in it, you know, and I'll play this very well. You know, all the strats, you know, it's kind of my catch line. But if I were to go for all the strats here, wouldn't it be too smart? Just because if I were to fail double pipes, I'm smacking right into the wall for the whole pipe. And I'm basically rendering my run useless. So basically, if I were to go for double pipes, either I'm trying to catch up or I'm trying to be a little bit cheeky going for all the fast strats, you know? But at least in my memory, I want to say double pipes, they maybe only save like 150 a lap if it's done really well. Gotta be 450, 4, 5. Yeah, I mean, I feel like a 142.6 or 0.7 is practical with single pipe. I could probably get that if I were to grind it. So WR is 141.1. I think 150 per lap for double pipe makes sense. Of course, you're losing more time if you're not getting the chain. That's one of the biggest consequences, I would say. So at least with the double pipe as well, you are basically negating having to go for a chain as well. There is still the mini chain wheelie before the double MT after the shroom, but that's one source of inconsistency down, but for a harder strat to pull off. I love playing this track in this game mode, especially because if you're consistently fast and you're hitting the bridge cycle well, for the uninformed, basically the faster your pace is lap 1 to the bridge angle is lower, so you get a lower trick and your lap 1s are faster on average. Now, if you're too slow lap 1, the bridge is completely upright, you gain the maximum amount of air time and you're losing the most amount of time. So typically you're trying to cancel your wheelie before you hit the zippers when it's more upright like that. Most notably on lap 2, because if you're in the wheelie and you smack right into the upward angle, that's when you get bounces the most. But yes, that's why, you know, driving fast lap 1s gives you faster lap 1 splits overall, but it helps you get, you know, just better for lap 2 and onward as well. So all the town turns here are really satisfying to me when playing this track. And so we're on pretty good pace right now, actually, for this game mode here. Unfortunate, I tried doing the drift trick, but I got a camera angle lock. And so basically, for the uninformed that don't know, so when you're going for a drifting trick, you're trying to get lower airtime and save time. If you do it, when you release your drift button, the camera readjusts. But when we say camera angle lock, when you release the R button, you can probably look at the input viewer. When I release it, the camera angle stays shifted. And so that completely can screw over what you're trying to do when you're landing or aligning from that as well. So quite unfortunate. I really think this run would have been probably a high 205, probably if I were to estimate anything here. So me and Troy were quite close here at the end here. Troy had the unfortunate fail right there, and you still kept second place in the end here. So good for us getting a top 2 in our collab here. It's very exciting. But yeah, I think long term I could definitely get a low 205 in this in the series. Might still have a highlight on my Twitch channel, but I think when this game mode was first released in 2020, I got like a 205.4. I think I still have a highlight on my channel. If I find it, I'll link it. And it was crazy. It almost beat my overall PB, and that's very strong for me for the game mode itself. So this is GBA Ribbon Road, I want to say. And so this track is interesting. So this is the shroom spot, but I want to say that is something you can do shroomless. I could be wrong, but I think someone said you can do that cut shroomless. I still don't know the general approach for a lot of the turns here. I just know how to do the shroom basically, and that's kind of all you have to do here just to not be completely, you know, so far behind and, you know, a lost cause, if you will. This track is a lot of fun, so this is definitely one track I want to try more in the future. But this is definitely a close race between me and Troy and all the other fellas here as well. And again, we played for quite a while actually, so this was a lot of fun, and our VR gains were pretty tasty, not gonna lie, for this entire session here. But yes, you know, again, it's more of a podcasty type of episode here as well, so I'm trying to do as many events as I can before the release of Mario Kart World. So I'll be streaming and participating in some more events probably in a couple of days from now. So probably the weekend of May 10th and 11th and the following week there as well. But yeah, it's just funny because I really thought that the higher VR I'm going to get, the VR games are going to be more difficult, which it definitely is and will be. But still, when I get first places, I'm still netting almost 100 VR gain. So if I'm really locked in, I'm playing very well, then I can gain a lot in one session. So it's just going to be treacherous though, because when I'm at like 26, 27K or so, I basically have to get at least top 3 or so to have any semblance of a reasonable VR game. So this will go on forever, I think, at least for a while. Me and Troy were very close there again, within less than 0.2 of a difference there, which was great overall. But yeah, that's definitely a track I need to just know the general approach for the turns more, I would say. This track is interesting. So there are 2 different tracks for this. So there's GP Bowser Castle and GP Castle Wall, if I'm getting those names correct. And so from what I understand, both tracks are on the same map. It's just one track has the route diverted elsewhere and the other one has the boost panels. And so I did some light TT of the one that has the long straight on the track, and I think this is actually that version of it, I want to say. Is it? No, it's not. No. Okay, so that's the one I know more of. This one I don't really know as much. I want to say you actually do shroom there at the end, or no, you don't actually. You shroom right at the beginning. Okay, we're learning in real time here, fellas. So when in doubt, follow the pack and see what they're doing, you know? But yeah, I mean, these tracks are fun. It's just a matter of me actually practicing them more. Also, that floppy evasion was actually insane, not gonna lie. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, another common question I get to is like when and if would I consider another season rather, of online time trial lounge. I've wanted to do it for a very long time. Just my issue is having reliable activity for that to sustain an entire series. So this was pretty much arguably as most active with the top level players right when it first came out for a couple of months. But even then, activity for the lounge got very quiet, and eventually it was hard to even gather events anymore. And that's partially why there were some gaps between videos for that series as well. I'm glad I finally had enough activity to close out the series, thank God for the first season. But if there was enough sustained activity with some higher level activity, I would be open to doing it again in the future. But me and Troy were super close here, and we did things pretty optimally here. And of course, the position changes was going around, but I believe the millisecond difference between me and Troy was like 30 milliseconds, I want to say. Do I change to a here? Let's see. Yeah, so that only 23 milliseconds of a difference there. Oh man, another one of our close races here. Now, of course, this is another track where it's all the strats, but with an asterisk though. So obviously all the strats would be turn skip, but almost no one's going to be doing that in good conscience on this track, right? Of good headspace, you know? But I do basically everything else here, and it's always, you know, no commentary, just be super serious on this track, and N64 Bowser's Castle, and even BC Wii. So that lost me a lot of time there, lap 1, unfortunately. I didn't clip the drift in time, in the right way on the U-turn. And so that lost me at least half a second or more, for sure. It's always satisfying, though, when the ending wheelie transition to the last turn, the last trick, rather, goes well. So typically, you know, I'm going for 45 laps across the board, so higher 46. Not the greatest, but again, it's okay for me. This lap 2 is going very spicy right now as well, so it's getting pretty good here. Excellent wheelie strat as well. This whole first half is actually pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. That was a bit wide and slow. Let's see here, what do I get? that was good. That was gonna be the makings of a pretty decent U-turn, but it didn't cut me tight the whole way, and so I had to really turn a lot of my wheelie to adjust my angle as well. That was quite slow. That was wide. I was slow enough for a triple trick, which again works for me at least. Got a bad landing there, and still a low 45.5. So you know, okay. If I had the second half a lot cleaner, that would have been at least a 45.2 probably at the very least. So just super beast for this game mode. I barely hung on enough for that MT, which is great. So at this point, I'm hunting to just race as fast as I can to still net a 217 here with having a 46.6 lap 1. Tall order to do, but considering how good my lap 2 was, it would have been pretty easy work for me. But I lost a good amount of time in the first half of the lap on lap 3. Still got a triple net, got a nice drift tick for the end. But still, 218.0, I'll take that. Let's freaking go. That was a series best for me by almost 2 seconds, which is amazing. So I think the best I've ever done is 217.6 in the pre-series videos that we did a while ago. But I could definitely do a 216 in this game mode, 100%. That's kind of a super goal that I have for this. Of course, this literally went back to back, by the way, in this session. So RVC, again, just very serious in the game mode here. And so I definitely want to get one day a very low 231 in this. Like a 231.2 I definitely could do. Now, missing one of the first MTs is quite triggering, I will say. Pretty tilting. That turn was a little bit sketch. It was okay. I somehow went a little bit too tight there on the Shroom. So again, we're out of the count for this race. But I kept the rest of this though for lap 3. As you can see, me and Troy are neck on neck right now. With lap 3 doing it both Shroomless. So we're both out of it clearly by this point. But in our commentary, we're like, well, let's just try and race each other and see who beats each other on lap 3. So this was actually really close, as you're going to see. And it's interesting how in Troy's POV, he doesn't see me at all. Probably saw the lag that's in there. But obviously, I saw him the whole time on this, you know, and I'm like, man, I'm racing my heart out here, but Troy's going to get the next 230 here, clearly, you know, absolute beast out here. But then Troy ended up trying to go for a triple MT there, had to go left for the fire pillar. But still, it was very, very close. Like, firstly, the finishing times here, like, barely 0.2 of a difference there. That was really well driven by Troy, so respect, my fella, my brother. Oh, man. Even still, 8th place plus 0, I cannot be upset with that. Now, this is Tour Lakeside Park, and this is one of my best tracks in Retro Rewind. So, it's funny because I learned this track when I was visiting Troy and my friend Dylan, aka Troy BC3 King as well, a little over half a year ago. And one night after a full fun day, it's like almost midnight, and we're just degenning it up playing Mario Kart. You know, we choose a track we all didn't know for TT, and we all kept on lowering the time down again and again and again. And so my time is near the best time, especially for when I said it a while ago. We also did the same thing on Ninja Hideaway as well when I visited them half a year ago. So me and Troy are neck and neck here. I will say this track is very scary because if you're too slow on laps 2 and 3, you can't beat the boulder cycle. And if you're just barely on the cusp, it makes that turn quite tough. So I think you have to like kill a little bit of time just to go slow to go around it if you're pace locked. But this ending strat here is so scary. So I make it think, God, I get an amazing time here. If you look at Troy's POV from right before, he gets like a short hop, I want to say. And so sometimes you hop too late, but I find that sometimes your hop is like a short hop, not like a full hop. I don't know if that's because maybe you're hitting just 1 pixel of grass, maybe, I really don't know. or if it's just the sloped angle of the downhill is a little bit different there, possibly. I don't really know. But when that goes wrong, it's very frustrating, I will say for sure. But almost a 119 in this game mode is really freaking good, especially for me. So I'll take that new series best. Let's go. Now we have Cheeseland here. And I think there's a couple of different strategies you can employ for Cheeseland here. Initially, we thought the Shroom would be here, but not really practical with that full flip boost that you have. There is a Shroom you can do in the little lip right there to cut that off, but you're not going to be saving all that much time. And so me and Troy both experimented with this Shroom here at the end, and we both felt in the session commenting that that was the best choice of a Shroom. So we were both helping each other out as well in the race here too. And so Troy is killing at this entire race here as well for Cheeseland. You should definitely watch his POV more than mine, because mine is nothing special for this track. But yeah, it's interesting because I was making the infographic for the end of the races for this before commentating it, and I'm like, why is the record like 15 seconds faster or whatever? I'm like, that's be some busted strat that they do here. But I didn't realize on the Retro Rewind best known time spreadsheet, it has 200 cc, and my thing was horizontally scrolled to the right. I'm like, that can't be right, you know? But I think it's like, what, like a low 130 or 140, one of those, I think. We're going to see a little bit later on. But unfortunately, Troy has his fail there. He was doing very, very good during this race here as well. But still, this was very fun, and both me and Troy are going to do this again together. So he's going to be my star guest once more in a future episode. Thankfully, I won't be botching the audio settings this time. Of course, I passed by a bit on my screen in first place, but I was actually in second place. And the ending here was very close. So I think it was less than 0.1, I want to say. Let's see. And me and Lockie, yeah, it was 1-1-1 of a time difference. So yeah, nail biter for sure. Another thing I will say too, as we're playing arguably my worst track. So as you can see in normal Mario Kart Wii, when you race the finish line and like on the vanilla console, the position tracker, it goes away. And so you don't know if you're getting a lag placement or not until you go to the results screen. So one of the codes that this game mode uses, and what CTGP doesn't have yet, but most other distributions they do include, is this code where it shows the updating position after you cross the finish line. So it shows if you've been lagged or not, as an example. So it doesn't matter in this game mode because it's just your finishing time is what's the benchmark. So if we had a 30-second lag start, it really doesn't matter. It's just what your completed time is overall. But still, when you're that close to the finish line, it's a nail biter for sure. That's why if you watch my live playing in the videos and streams for this, if I'm like looking at my screen weird or in anticipation, gosh, English is difficult. Anyway, in anticipation is because if it's very close, I'm checking to see if the position is changing or not overall. So this is one of Troy's best tracks. He was the staff goes for CTGP and also Retro Rewind, I want to say. This track completely escapes me, if I'm honest. I haven't done a lot of time trial for this, to be fair, but apart from that, just that little S curve in the middle feels very awkward. Recent stream of mine, I asked the players with me in the chat, you know, am I wrong? Am I like too much of a boomer old man, you know? But a lot of people agree that that section feels weird. It's faithful to the original, which I can appreciate, but it feels very awkward though, because I feel like you want to do like completely wrap around, but it's just kind of like a stretched out partial S or something. I don't know. Anyway, that was somehow still a series best for me. Competitor's best was also improved, so very impressive. Best time is a 158, as we saw by the card here. And I cannot believe this is now the last race of the video. So we got the Animal Crossing track here. And so me and Troy were speculating on which Shroom spot is going to be the fastest. So there is also a beginning strategy where you do like a shroomless double trick, I want to say, up to the right hand side. It's a lot easier with Mach Bike from what I understand, but you can do it with the Flame Runner as well. But clearly, I don't know that, so I'm not doing it. But as we saw at the end though, it appeared that the ending shroom is the faster play as well. But yeah, as you see, we have gained a truckload of VR in this session here. It was a net gain, I think, of like 1,200 to 1,400 or so, I want to say. Again, this raw recording was like an hour and a half and change or so. But I edited that down. That would have been probably like an hour, 5 minutes or so, I want to say. But we chose the best races of them, especially the ones that are the closest between me and Troy here as well. So Troy, thank you again, brother, for being a special guest here. And sorry that I botched the recording for us, but next time that won't happen. All right. But yeah, so you already have the next couple of episodes already recorded by the time that you guys are watching this on YouTube. So follow my Twitch channel. You can watch these live. I basically almost always do these in a live streaming format as well. Makes it more suspenseful, a lot more interesting and entertaining, and seeing the chat reaction in real time is awesome. So yeah, Troy had so many close finishes there with the competitors, but got second place there as well. I got third place. Juicy VR gains this episode. That's all I got for you guys today. See you next time. Take care. Peace.